This page is the vibrant cover of the July 1990 issue of Beep! Powerful Mega Magazine Mega Drive. The artwork is strikingly colorful and abstract, featuring whimsical characters like a dancing starman and a dapper penguin in a top hat, centered around a giant yellow star. The main features promoted are a game center remodeling plan, suggesting ways to improve or revitalize arcade experiences, and a game industry recruitment operation, likely a guide or feature for aspiring game developers. The cover also highlights a massive game idea contest, with prizes totaling 2 million yen. Prominently listed games on the cover include the classic shooter Thunder Force 2i, the arcade ports Phelios and Twin Hawk, known as Dai Senpu in Japan, and licensed titles Michael Jackson's Moonwalker and Batman. There's also a mention of a special half-year calendar appendix included with the magazine. This page previews the exciting future of the Mega Drive, announcing a wave of new, high-quality, 16-bit games. The central message is that masterpieces and acclaimed titles are arriving, promising an exciting new world of gameplay powered by the system's capabilities. 4 specific games are highlighted. First is Bravo! Business King, a simulation game where players aim to become a billionaire, navigating challenges like mountains and valleys, as shown in the cityscape screenshot. Next is the classic F1 racer, Super Monaco GP, showcasing exciting races against beautiful backdrops, illustrated by the racing screenshot. Following that is the arcade port Cyberball, featuring clashing robot teams in a definitive take on American football, with screenshots depicting on-field action. Finally, Twin Hawk, known as Dai Senpu in Japan, is presented. A top-down shooter challenging players to break through enemy onslaughts from air and land using formation attacks, shown in the aerial combat screenshot. This page serves as a look ahead at the diverse genres coming to the Mega Drive platform. This page puts the focus squarely on the power and excitement of the Sega Mega Drive platform itself, highlighted by a dynamic visual and the phrase, "straight line," suggesting speed and direct progression. It showcases the console alongside upcoming games that demonstrate its 16-bit capabilities. Featured is the powerful cybernetic action of SWAT, City Under Siege, where a heavily armed hero of justice takes on ruthless villains. Also presented is Wonderboy 2-1, Monster Lair, showing the popular character receiving a significant 16-bit upgrade, unleashing incredible power in this exciting adventure. Both games are listed with expected July release timings. The page prominently displays the Mega Drive console itself, described as a high-power 16-bit machine, capable of delivering thrilling experiences, noting its price point. This serves as a clear call to action for players looking to experience the next level of gaming. This page features a compelling illustration depicting a formidable mech alongside a determined young soldier holding a rifle, and a mysterious woman with flowing blonde hair. The large characters on the right read, Kuo. The text below introduces a futuristic setting in the 2000s, where mobile weapons known as NAP have transformed warfare. It focuses on Howard Bowie, a former Federal Army lieutenant now in a foreign legion for the military nation, Algeria, who is given a critical order to occupy and destroy a target, called the Bloody Axe. The narrative hints at Bowie finding purpose and exhilaration only within combat, describing his journey and the bloodstained times. This page serves to introduce a new science fiction concept or game, emphasizing its dark narrative and character focus through its evocative art and synopsis. This page delves into the gameplay mechanics of FZ Senki Axis, developed by Wolf Team. Building on the concept introduced on the previous page, this game features intense real-time battles viewed from a strategic isometric or quarter-view perspective. Players command units known as NAP, New Age Power Suits, customizing their loadouts with various weapons. This customization creates crucial strategic decisions, as equipping heavier firepower increases offensive capability and durability, but reduces mobility. Terrain also plays a significant role, affecting movement and the dynamic scrolling speed of the screen. The game allows for coordinating up to 15 NAP units, specializing them for different tactical roles like assault, support, or area denial through mine-laying. Screenshots showcase the detailed isometric environments where these strategic battles unfold. The page also includes information for mail-order purchases. This page features an advertisement for the Mega Drive game Atomic Robo-Kid. It highlights the game as a battle for the survival of humanity in a great labyrinth. The ad describes it as a version-up of a popular video game, offering thrilling labyrinth-shooting action with beautiful graphics and diverse characters. Screenshots show the side-scrolling perspective, showcasing the player character, enemy designs, and intricate level environments. The game was scheduled for release in October at a price of 6,800 yen, excluding tax. The advertisement includes the Mega Drive logo and the publisher's information. Treco. This page promotes the ASMIC Summer Festival 90 event featuring Japanese women's pro wrestling JWP stars, including the popular Cutie Suzuki. The event is scheduled for August 24th at Korakuen Hall. It promises real wrestling matches and activities related to the upcoming Sega Mega Drive game, Cutie Suzuki's Ringside Angel. Highlights include wrestling matches involving JWP wrestlers and a game tournament played on a massive 8-meter screen using Cutie Suzuki's Ringside Angel. The event offers 1,500 invitations through a postcard lottery. The page also provides profile information for Cutie Suzuki, listing her key stats and signature moves. The game itself, Cutie Suzuki's Ringside Angel, is a wrestling title focused on female wrestlers and was set for release in August for 6,800 yen. It's a solid example of a wrestling game on the Mega Drive, tapping into the popularity of Joshi Puroresu at the time. This page showcases the Sega Mega Drive version of the intense horizontal scrolling shooter, Hellfire. The artwork prominently features the sleek player spaceship engaged with a formidable, organic alien structure, hinting at the challenging foes players will face. The page highlights that this is a direct port of the popular arcade hit, enhanced for the Mega Drive with unique options and powerful weaponry. It boasts impressive visuals and background music, made possible by utilizing a large 4-megabit room cartridge, which was significant for the time. The theme of breaking through an enemy encirclement is emphasized, referencing the game's story where humanity must fight back against a vast invading force from the edge of the galaxy. The page confirms the game's release date of August 31st, priced at 6,800 yen, making it a must-have for fans of arcade-style shooters on the platform. This page presents the BeepMD lineup, showcasing highlights from previous issues of the magazine. It serves as a recap for readers, detailing the key articles and game features covered in the June, May, April, and February editions. Each entry typically includes a special feature and a mastering guide for various titles. Looking back at the included issues, the magazine dedicated significant space to mastering popular games of the era. The June issue, for instance, covered titles like Thunder Force 2i, while the May issue featured guides for games such as Crying, Asame Sensu, Whiplash, and Cyblade. The April issue delved into Afterburner 2, New Zealand Story, Sorcerian, and Phantasy Star IV. February's expanded issue included a look at Assault Suits Les Nasus and Revisiting Sorcerians, among others. These lists demonstrate the magazine's focus on providing in-depth coverage and strategy for a wide range of Mega Drive releases, from intense shooters and action games to RPGs and simulations, reflecting the diverse library growing on the platform at the time. The page also includes information about purchasing past issues and details regarding a yearly subscription offer. This page is the cover of Volume 2 of Game Boy Life, a specialty magazine dedicated to the Game Boy. It announces that this is the powered-up second volume, featuring a comprehensive guide to 56 Game Boy software titles. The cover highlights several games covered, including Ultraman Club, Double Dragon, Pitman, Mebius, and Cosmotank, among others. Key features advertised are the first Game Boy Grand Prize, based on reader votes for the best Game Boy games, and a Game Boy History Lecture Not on Exams special feature, promising to reveal unknown details about the system's evolution. The cover also mentions a GB shopping derby. The illustration depicts 3 characters in a red car, one holding a Game Boy, suggesting the fun and portable nature of the system. The magazine was on sale for 380 yen, tax included. This page is an announcement for a SoftBank MOOC publication, Falcom Magazine, described as the industry's first complete guide to the entire Sorcerian series. The magazine promises in-depth coverage of various Sorcerian titles, including the original, Sengoku Sorcerian, Pyramid Sorcerian, Selected Sorcerian 5, and even the Mega Drive version. Beyond Sorcerian, it features reader-voted Falcom Top 10 lists across different categories, a guide to Falcom games released on various platforms worldwide, a comprehensive Falcom discography, and an introduction to related books, comics, and novels. The magazine is priced at an estimated 630 yen and was scheduled for release in mid-June. This page is the table of contents for the July 1990 issue of BeepMD. MegaDrive. It lists various features covering the latest releases and in-depth guides. Featured articles include the new software Scramble on page 16, which catches up on recent games like Last Armageddon, the shooters FZ Senki Axis, Granada, Explode Star and Insector X, the action strategy title Gain Ground, the classic action games Devil Hunter Yoko and Strider, the quirky platformer JJ and Jeff, the racing game Super Monaco GP, and the unique sports title Battle Golfer Yui. On page 22, the B Mega Hot menu covers Hellfire, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, SWAT, City Under Siege, the puzzle hit columns, and a section titled Shitten Mew. The magazine offers extensive new release master guides, providing detailed walkthroughs or tips. These cover Batman on page 34, the intense shooter Phelios on page 79, the legendary Thunder Force 2i on page 86, and the vertical shooter Twin Hawk on page 92. Finally, a special feature on page 73, titled Game Center Remodeling Plan, delves into the world of arcades with a subtitle that translates to Just a Game Center, Yet a Game Center, suggesting an in-depth look at the arcade experience or how to bring it home. The page also features a picture of TV personality Hiroko Moriguchi and a screenshot from the game FZ Senki Axis. This page continues the magazine's table of contents, showcasing a variety of feature articles and columns. At the top, 3 screenshots provide visual hints of the content within. The leftmost image appears to be the classic puzzle game columns. The middle shot features the distinctive first boss, Tortoise, from the excellent shooter Thunder Force 2i. To the right, we see a scene from the action game SWAT, City Under Siege. Highlighting the main features, the magazine includes a special report on recruiting for the game industry, targeting aspiring game creators. There's also a hot-blooded MegaDrive declaration, featuring productions from Namco and Kaneko, promising exciting insights into their work on the console. A major game idea contest with significant prizes is also announced. Further within the magazine, readers can find sections covering MegaDrive news, market analysis, columns by various writers on topics ranging from retro games to hardware development, articles on game sound and video connections, reader contributions, upcoming software schedules, game guides, cheats, and a manga series. It's a comprehensive look at the MegaDrive scene beyond just game reviews. This page features a report on the newly released Sega Game Gear, highlighting its 3.2-inch color screen and initial software lineup. It introduces the handheld console, which launched in Japan in September at a price of 19,800 yen. The report showcases 2 key Sega titles for the system. Super Monaco GP, a faithful port of the popular arcade and Mega Drive racer, is featured, showing its different modes in 16 courses. While the graphics are noted as being slightly less detailed than the Mega Drive version, they are clearly superior to the Master System, a solid achievement for a handheld. Also highlighted is the classic puzzle game Pengo, an action puzzle title with 64 stages where you crush enemies by pushing blocks. The screenshots show the charming penguin protagonist and the block-pushing gameplay. The page also covers third-party support. Wolf Team's strategy simulation game Zan, previously popular on PC, is coming to the Game Gear, allowing players to experience its historical unification theme on the go. Messiah, NCS, is bringing Headbuster, an original robot combat simulation game featuring a unique 2-player versus mode. Both third-party titles are scheduled for release in the fall. Sega plans to release around 10 titles per year for the Game Gear, including the featured Super Monaco GP and Pengo, promising a steady stream of new games for the handheld. This page presents a special report detailing a journey to observe the gaming situation in Europe, specifically focusing on Paris and London. The reporter notes that unlike the dense arcade scene in Japan, dedicated game centers are less common. Instead, classic arcade titles like the thrilling racing game Outrun and the high-speed combat simulator Afterburner are found in smaller locations, including cafes. The reporter observed many upright cabinets, although sit-down versions were also present. The report highlights that the gaming scene in Paris and London shares similarities. Beyond traditional games, machines offering useful information, such as the situ terminals providing transit details, were found in public transport stations. The page includes photos showing Parisian streetscapes, an arcade interior featuring familiar upright cabinets including Outrun, the entrance of a large Virgin megastore, and a situ information terminal. The report contrasts the European approach to gaming, which seems less focused on dedicated arcade hubs compared to Japan's vibrant arcade culture. This page features the BeepMD Race Review section, where 4 expert reviewers weigh in on new releases using a 10-point scale. The featured game is Ghostbusters 2 for the Sega Genesis, an action title released on June 30th. The game is a side-scrolling adventure where you control the famous ghost-catching team. Reviewer opinions are mixed. Some find it to be a straightforward action game with decent content, while others note issues with controls and a lack of impactful gameplay. Despite being fans of the movie, the graphics are generally considered clean. The average score from the 4 reviewers settles around 6.5 out of 10, suggesting a competent but perhaps not groundbreaking experience. This page continues the BeepMD Race Review section, focusing on 2 highly anticipated Genesis titles released in June. First up is Columns, the popular puzzle game. Reviewers are overwhelmingly positive, with high scores reflecting its addictive, falling block gameplay. Many compare it favorably to Tetris, praising the quality of the Genesis port and its fun multiplayer mode. One reviewer even suggests it surpasses Tetris in some aspects. Next is Twin Hawk, a top-down shooter from Toaplan. This arcade port is also generally well received, noted for its solid shooting action and power-ups. While one reviewer found it slightly less engaging than other shooters, the overall consensus is positive, appreciating it as a good arcade conversion for the Genesis. The section also includes commentary from Jam Ojisan, addressing reader feedback about the review section itself and highlighting the strong lineup of games released this month, including Thunder Force, Two Eyes, Columns, and Twin Hawk, noting that the quality of Genesis games is noticeably increasing. This page opens the New Release Scramble section, highlighting upcoming Mega Drive titles. The section lists several exciting games on the horizon, including Nastar, known as Rastan Saga 2 in Japan, Gainground, Strider, Super Monaco GP, and more. The main feature focuses on Taito's upcoming Nastar, an action game scheduled for an August release. It's highlighted as a faithful port of the popular arcade hero action game, praised for its detailed character movements, items, and challenging gameplay. The game spans 5 stages, each incorporating different types of areas like shooting, timing, and combat zones, leading up to a boss battle that must be completed within a time limit. The article includes screenshots showcasing the game's graphics, featuring the hero battling various enemies and bosses, as well as environmental challenges like swinging over a chasm. The visuals are noted by the magazine as being almost indistinguishable from the arcade version on the Mega Drive. The story sets the stage in a holy land called Rastania, invaded by evil, where heroes must rise to defend the territory. The magazine expresses anticipation for the port, particularly noting the potential for simultaneous 2-player gameplay. This page dives into more upcoming Mega Drive titles, leading with Wolf Team's FZ Axis, an action shooting game due in late July. It features a customizable mobile suit called the Nap, which can be equipped with various weapons, although loading up slows you down. The game boasts 7 stages with diverse environments, including cityscapes and canyons, and innovative features like the ability to change the screen scrolling speed. The story hints at advanced satellite warfare and the development of the Nap as a new type of mobile soldier. Screenshots show the mech in isometric and top-down views in different locations, with the magazine commenting on the atmosphere and potential for flight. The page also covers another Wolf Team title, Granada, expected in late September. This is a port of the acclaimed X68000 hit. In this game, you control a tank-like vehicle in a top-down perspective, navigating stages, destroying core points, and battling giant bosses. The magazine notes the port is being handled quickly, indicating Wolf Team's enthusiasm, and features items and environmental hazards. Screenshots depict the top-down gameplay and the Granada vehicle in action. The magazine expresses high expectations for both titles from Wolf Team. This page highlights more upcoming titles from Messiah NCS, starting with the action game Momono Hunter Yoko. Still without a release date or price, this game is planned to feature numerous stages with a unique, almost eerie atmosphere. The protagonist is the well-known character Devil Hunter Yoshiko, an ordinary high school girl tasked with balancing the human and demon realms. The game promises challenging action and side-scrolling gameplay, as shown in the screenshots. The magazine notes Messiah's big multimedia plans for the character, including PC Engine Creedrom, anime, books, and music creeds, indicating high expectations for the project. A striking illustration of a large insectoid monster that appears in the game is also featured. Following this is Explode Star, another title from Messiah NCS. With an unknown release date and price, categorized as a puzzle game. The magazine describes it as a puzzle game that anyone can enjoy, where the goal involves destroying obstacles on a grid. Screenshots show the typical puzzle gameplay setup with blocks and a character. This page highlights the upcoming Shoot 'em Up in Sector X from Hot B, licensed by Taito, scheduled for an early September release. The magazine notes that compared to the arcade version, the Mega Drive port features significantly polished graphics and realistic boss movements. The story follows a human protagonist named Kayet, who pilots a mech suit to battle giant insectoid creatures, seeking revenge for his fallen comrades. The game is a horizontal shooter showcasing diverse environments across its stages, including ancient pyramids, lush forests, and urban landscapes. Players will face various standard enemies and challenging boss encounters. The core mechanics involve a power-up system for the main shot and the use of special option weapons. 4 types are introduced, offering different attack patterns like fire missiles and spray bombs, adding a strategic element to the gameplay. The page provides a brief walkthrough of the initial rounds, giving a taste of the enemies and settings players will experience. This page previews 3 distinct upcoming titles. First up is Gaining Ground, an action game that emphasizes strategy over brute force. It features 20 different characters, each with unique abilities, across fixed screen stages where the goal is either escape or enemy elimination. The game demands tactical thinking about how best to utilize your diverse team. Next we see Strider, the highly anticipated arcade port. The magazine highlights the game's impressive graphics and incredibly smooth, varied animation for the main character, Hiryu. The preview expresses excitement for the later stages and notes the inclusion of character voice clips. The screenshots showcase the game's dynamic action sequences and challenging boss fights. Finally, the page introduces Junction, a puzzle game from Micronet, based on a Konami title. Described as a game requiring both intellect and quick reflexes, the core gameplay involves guiding a ball along rails by rotating square plates to create a path. The objective is to clear the grid by having the ball traverse every rail. The screenshots show the game's distinctive grid layout and ball. This page features previews of 2 upcoming Sega Mega Drive titles. First, we look at Super Monaco GP, a highly anticipated racing game. The article praises the graphics, noting the detailed trackside scenery and the dynamic animations like tire smoke and crashes. Particular emphasis is placed on the satisfying sound design, specifically highlighting the impactful noise of downshifting. Gameplay details mention a free practice mode for learning tracks and the World Championship mode, where pit crew advice plays a role. The game offers various controller options to suit different players. Screenshots display intense race action, driver rankings, the course select screen, and even a wet race condition, showcasing the visual variety. Below, the unique title Battle Golfer Yui is previewed. Described as a Sega original, this isn't just a standard golf game. It's presented as a mix of adventure and parody. While the visuals show typical golf course scenes, the game promises something more than a simple simulation, hinting at its unique blend of genres. The article suggests it has the potential to be a surprisingly engaging game, despite its quirky premise. Screenshots show characters alongside golf environments, teasing the game's unusual style. This page kicks off the BeepMD Hot Menu section, highlighting upcoming and recent releases. The contents list previews for several anticipated titles, including Hellfire, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, SWAT, Columns, and Shikoku Meiyu, all covered in this section. The main focus here is Hellfire, a port of the notoriously challenging arcade shooter developed by Toplan, known for tough as nails games like Tatsujin, Truxton in the West, which is even shown in a screenshot for comparison. This Mega Drive version is presented as a complete translation of the arcade original. The game itself is a horizontally scrolling shooter with a unique weapon system. Instead of just different weapon types, the key is switching between 4 attack directions: forward, backward, 2-way vertical, and 4-way diagonal. Mastering when to use each directional spread is crucial. For the Mega Drive release, they've added exclusive content. There are new power-up units that grant effects, like increased attack power, speed boosts, bonus points, and extra lives. They've even included new assist units. While maintaining the core gameplay, the Mega Drive version also features slightly adjusted difficulty and graphics, aiming to be a faithful but potentially improved port that arcade fans will appreciate. It sounds like a solid adaptation of a classic difficult shooter. This page continues the deep dive into Hellfire, focusing intently on the game's vital item system. It explains that there are 7 distinct item types that appear when specific enemies are destroyed. Collecting these items is crucial for survival and scoring. The items include The standard power-up, which increases your ship's attack power up to 5 levels. Visually demonstrated, with screenshots showing the progression from the initial level to the maximum output. Once maxed out, subsequent power-up items turn into bonus items. Bonus items themselves simply award points. Exclusive to this Mega Drive version are the option and shield items. Options are small, invincible helper units that orbit your ship, adding offensive firepower and acting as mobile shields. Shields provide temporary invincibility, absorbing one hit, making them invaluable. There's also a speed-up item that increases your ship's movement speed up to 4 levels, after which they also become bonus items. Of course, the classic 1-up grants an extra life, always a welcome sight. Finally, the powerful hypercannon is introduced as the strongest weapon, likely a limited-use special attack shown in a screenshot, perfect for clearing tough situations. The page also offers a brief introduction to the early stages. Stage 1's boss is described as requiring players to destroy its core, while Stage 2 features a boss that moves erratically. The magazine promises a detailed strategy guide for these levels in the next issue. It's clear the game relies heavily on understanding and utilizing these varied power-ups effectively. The next page continues the in-depth look at Hellfire, taking you through the early stages. It kicks off with the initial launch into the first stage, highlighting that you'll need to blast through not just enemies, but environmental obstacles too. There's a horizontally long mid-boss that requires focused frontal assault. The Stage 1 final boss, a mechanical core structure, is shown again with advice on the optimal strategy to take it down effectively. Moving on to Stage 2, the atmosphere shifts to mysterious ancient ruins populated by large, character-like enemies that move in peculiar ways. The boss for Stage 2 is described as a movable object that eventually breaks apart, requiring you to target its individual pieces strategically. Finally, the page gives a quick look at Stage 3 with a few screenshots, hinting at the next environment you'll face. It concludes by stating that this article is just a visual introduction to these stages, and the full strategy guide will be covered in the upcoming issue. This page delves into the action game Michael Jackson's Moonwalker from Sega. It highlights the global superstar Michael Jackson's involvement, not just starring but also contributing to the game's planning. Calling it a game he essentially created himself. The game was a major hit upon release in both Japan and the US. The core objective of the game is simple: rescue the kidnapped children. Michael must travel through various levels, defeating villains to find the missing kids. The article details Michael's unique combat style. Beyond standard attacks which project stars, he possesses varied magic attacks tied to his life meter. These special moves include the famous dance attack, where enemies are compelled to dance before collapsing, and the spin attack, utilizing his hat as a boomerang and a powerful spin move. The page includes screenshots showing the options menu, an opening cinematic, and multiple gameplay scenes demonstrating Michael's actions in the game world. This page continues the deep dive into Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, highlighting more of Michael's impressive moves. It explains how the special attacks, like the iconic dance attack and versatile spin attack, change depending on the player's skill, adding depth to the gameplay. The fun, lively atmosphere of the game is clearly conveyed through these sections. Moving on, the article introduces the game's rounds, confirming they are directly inspired by the Moonwalker film and Michael's legendary music videos. It explicitly states that the background music uses his hit songs, enhancing the experience. The first 5 rounds are themed after Smooth Criminal, Beat It, Thriller, Billie Jean, and Bad, promising an exciting journey through his discography. The focus then shifts to round 1, set in Club 30. The primary goal remains rescuing the children trapped within the building. The screenshots show the level design and interactive elements like jukeboxes, pianos, pinball machines, and billiard tables, which contribute to the club atmosphere and can sometimes be used or interacted with. Rescuing the children isn't always straightforward, as some are hidden behind glass or doors, requiring specific actions. Successfully finding the children also helps Michael recover energy. This page continues the breakdown of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, moving on to the second round, Nighttown. Following the rescue mission in Club 30, Michael now finds himself in a beautiful night cityscape, including a multi-level parking structure. The core objective remains the same: find and rescue the children hidden throughout the level. This round introduces a unique challenge, as many children are locked inside the trunks of cars in the parking garage. Players need to open each trunk to check for trapped kids, but beware, some trunks contain enemies, or even bombs. The article highlights interactive elements, like red fire hydrants, which can be used as a weapon, shooting a powerful stream of water to clear enemies. Screenshots show various sections of the level, including the street and the detailed parking garage structure. The text notes the danger of bombs planted by enemies, which can cause significant damage if triggered. Just like the previous round, the atmosphere is enhanced by the game's music, derived from Michael's hit songs. The article mentions that a boss appears at the end of this round, adding another layer of challenge to the rescue operation in the parking lot. This page introduces the Sega Genesis action game, SWAT. The article highlights that this is a port of the arcade game, focusing on the side-scrolling action gameplay, where the player controls a police officer fighting crime in a futuristic city. The reviewer points out the game's high difficulty, suggesting it's a good challenge for players who find modern games too easy. The page features images of the title screen, the main character in his human form, and later, in his powerful ice cybernetic suit. It explains that gameplay involves rescuing civilians and battling criminals. A section is dedicated to explaining the game's operation, noting that controls become more complex once the player acquires the ice suit, requiring strategic use of the A, B, and C buttons for actions like jumping, attacking, and weapon selection. Another key part of the page details the 5 different weapons available in the game, each illustrated with a screenshot. These include the standard shot, rapid fire, super, ground skimming missile, RL, energy ball, RC, and the screen clearing explosion, fire, which consumes a lot of energy. The ice suit also has a burner ability that allows flight and can be used as a weapon, powered by an energy gauge shared with the fire weapon. Mastering the use of the suit's energy and different weapons is crucial due to the game's challenging nature. The next page provides a tactical breakdown of the initial rounds in SWAT, acting as a guide through the challenges players will face. Round 1, titled City Street, focuses on navigating the initial urban landscape and getting accustomed to the environment, particularly the need to avoid falling into gaps. The objective is to reach a large elevator, leading to the first major boss, a helicopter. Strategy against the boss involves observing its distinct attack patterns, such as diagonal dives and hovering shots, and exploiting openings to land hits. Round 2 takes the player to the prison, an underground facility. This stage features complex elevator navigation, again requiring caution to prevent falls. The boss is a robot. The guide advises patience and learning the robot's movements to find opportunities to attack. Round 3, the nuclear power plant, is highlighted as crucial because it's where the protagonist finally dons the powerful ice suit, making the player a formidable cybernetic officer. This level features numerous power-up panels. The bosses for this round are 2 robots, each with different attack styles. One fires standard shots, while the other uses a jumping attack. The strategy involves separating the two and focusing fire on the jumping robot after it lands, noting that it takes damage if it touches you during its leap. The screenshots effectively show key moments and bosses from each round, offering visual aids for players navigating these early stages. This page dives into the highly anticipated Mega Drive release of Columns, Sega's incredibly popular puzzle game that was a huge hit in arcades. It's described as a jewel-matching game said to be based on something Phoenician navigators played, making it sound quite unique and appealing to players of all ages. The rules are explained as simple. Players manipulate falling stacks of 3 jewels to create lines of 3 or more identical gems horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, clearing them from the board. The game encourages strategic placement for chain reactions, which are key to high scores. It also introduces the Magic Stone, a special jewel that, when placed, clears all other jewels of the same color on the screen, offering a powerful way to recover or score big points. Scoring is primarily determined by your progress through levels, the number of jewels cleared, and importantly, the length of your chain reactions. While the base score per jewel varies with the level, as shown in a table, mastering combos is highlighted as the real path to racking up points. The page includes screenshots showcasing the gameplay, illustrating both standard clears and the impressive visual effect of a chain reaction filling the screen. This page continues the look at Columns on the Mega Drive, focusing on the wealth of modes and options included in this port. It highlights that while the arcade mode is a faithful recreation, the Mega Drive version adds significant depth, with detailed settings for difficulty, starting level, background music, and even time limits, offering much more customization than the arcade game. The page details the different ways to play: the standard 1-player game, a competitive 2-player versus mode, and a cooperative 2-player doubles mode where players share a field. It specifically calls out the doubles mode as requiring good coordination and being great fun with friends. Under menu mode, two distinct games are available. Original game, which is similar to the arcade experience, and flash columns, a unique mode where the goal is to clear a single flashing gem among falling blocks, essentially a time attack challenge. The option menu is comprehensive, covering essential settings like difficulty adjustment, controller mapping, sound test, and color palette options. The overall impression is that the Mega Drive version is incredibly flexible, designed to appeal to both newcomers and experienced players, making it a highly recommended puzzle game for the console. Screenshots show various game modes and player setups in action. This page delves into the action game Mystic Defender on the Genesis/Mega Drive. The game, an original Japanese-style action title from SEGA Enterprises, tasks you with guiding four distinct heroes, Kotaro, Ayame, Kidenbu, and Senshiro, through 9 challenging stages to thwart the Great Demon King. The page details how each of the 4 protagonists can power up, visually transforming and gaining new attacks as they become stronger. It also highlights the importance of collecting various items scattered throughout the levels. These grant temporary boosts like increased speed, higher jumps, enhanced attack power, or crucial life recovery. A key piece of advice offered is to ensure all 4 characters are developed equally. Since you can swap between them during gameplay, maintaining their power levels is vital, especially if one falls in battle. Screenshots showcase the character selection screen, different power-up levels, item sprites, and intense boss encounters, giving a clear look at the game's visual style and action. The content suggests Mystic Defender is a challenging game that rewards smart use of items and strategic character management. This page covers the action game Mystic Defender, detailing its 4 playable characters, power-up system, items, and strategic elements. This page provides a detailed walkthrough and strategy guide for the action-packed Genesis title, Mystic Defender, known as Majiden in Japan. It breaks down the initial 6 rounds of the game, offering insights into the unique challenges of each stage. You'll navigate diverse environments, from rocky fields and tangled forests to bustling street ports and futuristic bases, encountering distinct enemy types and challenging bosses specific to each area. The guide highlights strategic tips for tackling difficult terrain, dealing with tricky enemy movements, and identifying effective tactics against bosses, sometimes noting when standard attacks won't work. It gives players a clear picture of the progression and increasing difficulty. The concluding section discusses the later stages, mentioning realms like the Demon World and the Universe, and emphasizes that while challenging, the game becomes more approachable in 2-player co-op. It also touches on the strategic necessity of managing the 4 playable characters, Jo Yamato, Shinobu, Gekiretsu, and Kagura, especially as the game progresses. Overall, the content suggests Mystic Defender is a tough but rewarding experience that demands strategic thinking and skillful play. This page kicks off a detailed guide to the Genesis title, Batman, from Sunsoft. Presented as a Complete Master Part 1, it promises to get you up to speed quickly on this highly anticipated action and shooting game hybrid. The story section sets the scene in Gotham City during its 200th anniversary celebration, which is disrupted by a massive crime syndicate. A recent power struggle within the organization has plunged the city into chaos, drawing the attention of Batman. The narrative introduces key players like crime boss Grissom, his underling Jack Napier, who becomes the Joker, cameraman Vicky Vale, and Bruce Wayne's origin story. Character profiles briefly touch on Batman's transformation from orphaned Bruce Wayne and his fight against crime, as well as featuring portraits of the Joker and Vicky Vale. The guide also breaks down the screen display, explaining the score counter, which only increases, and the life gauges for both Batman and boss characters, noting that taking damage reduces these bars. It covers the player's remaining lives and how they are lost or gained, along with details on Batman's primary weapon, the Batarang, explaining its count and how to increase it. Screenshots show various Gotham City street scenes and in-game elements, giving a glimpse of the game's environment. This page continues the guide to the Batman game, focusing on the initial stage, Gotham City Street. It describes the level as straightforward, but requiring mastery of Batman's moves. The enemies encountered are detailed, including 2 types of thugs and the boss, a formidable boxer who requires getting behind him to defeat effectively. The guide breaks down Batman's key actions: throwing the limited Batarang, performing punches in defense, jumping and executing a mid-air turn, and using the grappling hook by combining the jump button with the direction. Mastering these moves, particularly the grappling hook for navigating obstacles, is highlighted as essential for progression. Screenshots show the different enemy types and examples of Batman using his abilities in the street environment. This page continues the guide to Batman. Moving on to Stage 2, the Axis Chemical Factory. As expected, it's a step up in complexity from the first stage, featuring tricky sections like the Saurian-style areas. You'll face tougher enemies, especially the sliding ones, which are particularly challenging in two-player mode. Watch out for reflected laser beams and explosive pipes. Getting hit or riding a pipe too long means disaster. The final boss of this stage is the Joker, who will surprisingly return later after this fight. The guide offers specific advice for two tricky spots. First, seemingly normal pipes can explode, so you need to cross them quickly. Second, insurmountable piles of boxes aren't beaten by jumping, but by utilizing the grappling hook. The items found in this stage are essential power-ups for Batman. Collecting a Batarang adds 5 to your stock, up to a maximum of 99. The 1-up item grants an extra life, and interestingly, the guide mentions a small Batman figurine inside that seems to address you. Health recovery, as the name suggests, restores your health bar, though the guide humorously questions why such helpful items are conveniently located in an enemy base. Finally, the page touches on the music select option available from the title screen, allowing players to adjust difficulty, player count, choose from 3 background music tracks, and listen to 45 different sound effects. This page continues the in-depth guide for Batman on the Sega Mega Drive, focusing specifically on Stage 2, the Axis Chemical Factory. The guide emphasizes that enemies here are significantly tougher than in the first stage, particularly highlighting the sliding enemies and those armed with bazookas. Strategies are provided for dealing with these threats, such as sliding under the sliding enemies or carefully avoiding the bazooka fire before counterattacking. The page also offers advice on navigating the factory, including using the grappling hook to ascend shafts and dealing with environmental hazards like laser beams. The Stage 2 boss, Joker, is covered, with the guide noting he isn't particularly strong at this point and can be defeated by persistent offense. Finally, the page teases the next installment of the guide, warning that the stages beyond Stage 2 are exceptionally difficult, and advising players to conserve their Batarangs for the challenges ahead. This page shifts focus from game guides to a quirky feature section titled Fin de siècle Kitaretsu newspaper, seriously contemplating bizarre game ideas. A prominent cartoon panel depicts various characters reacting to a letter of happiness game concept, suggesting a humorous take on unconventional pastimes. The text delves into this odd game, which seems to involve sending and receiving letters to achieve happiness, reflecting the magazine's unique, often absurd, sense of humor. Adjacent to this, the page calls for reader submissions across various categories for the Kitaretsu newspaper, inviting contributions related to strange happenings, curiosities, and game ideas. Further down is the Endo-Volume Trouble Consultation Room, a reader queue, and a section where problems and queries are answered, often with a comedic or insightful twist, accompanied by charming illustrations. The page also hints at a points or ranking system for reader contributions, tied to the Kitaretsu theme. It's a fun, reader interactive segment that showcases the magazine's personality beyond standard game reviews and walkthroughs. This page delves further into the magazine's unique perspective with the Fin de siècle Kitaretsu newspaper feature. The main highlight is an account of visiting an amusement park during Golden Week, humorously framed as training your legs. It captures the relatable experience of navigating busy parks during a major holiday period. Adjacent to this personal anecdote is a quirky section titled Numbers and Truth, presenting a series of seemingly random statistics related to the story, adding to the magazine's eccentric charm. The page also includes regular reader-focused columns like Things I'm Curious About This Month and the Iroha Katakana Scroll. The latter appears to be a space for reader contributions or staff thoughts, touching upon game-like concepts, possibly hinting at card games or unique game ideas submissions. The bottom section features a collection of reader submissions and answers, continuing the magazine's interactive queue and a format, complete with photos of some contributors. This page clearly emphasizes reader engagement and the magazine's distinctive, light-hearted take on life, presented through a gaming lens. This page presents a conceptual article titled New Machine Development Workshop, The Ideal Electronic Organizer. He notes, It delves into the design philosophy for a future portable device that aims to be more than just a traditional electronic organizer. The concept device, he notes, is envisioned with a modular design, highlighted by sections discussing its appeal through modularity and its perceived inadequacy if viewed solely as an organizer. Key features include a large touch panel display with stylus input, a modular keyboard unit, wireless connectivity, and enhanced graphics capabilities, suggested to be capable of graphics-based interfaces. The text notes its processing power is comparable to systems using the 68,030th CPU, putting it in the league of machines like the Sharp X68000, or indeed, the Sega Mega Drive itself, suggesting it's a serious piece of tech beyond a simple planner. Illustrations showcase the device's components, including the main unit with its digitizer and display, the modular keyboard with a built-in printer, a backlight unit, an expanded battery, and even a projector unit. The article critiques existing electronic organizers as limited, arguing that this proposed machine is necessary to handle more complex tasks like handwriting recognition and advanced software, suggesting the era demands more capable portable computing. It's a fascinating look at futuristic tech concepts from the early 90s perspective, contemplating the evolution of personal devices. This page features a special ongoing series titled Passionate MegaDrive, presenting declarations from various companies involved with the system. This is part 3, dated from 1990. The visual depicts two figures in boxing stances, wearing suits and gloves, representing Namco and Kaneko Corporation, the featured companies for this installment. And text highlights that Namco and Kaneko are joining the ranks of third-party developers supporting the Mega Drive. Both companies are significant players, known for their strong presence in arcade gaming, as well as developing titles for platforms like the PC Engine, NES, and PC. The common thread for these two is their proven track record of bringing their successful arcade and home console games to multiple systems. The page expresses excitement and hope that popular titles from these two major arcade powerhouses will soon be ported and available on the Sega Mega Drive. It's a strong statement of support from key industry players, promising exciting potential for future Mega Drive releases. This page continues the exploration of developers joining the Mega Drive, focusing on arcade giant Namco. It features a large Namco logo and an interview with a representative from the company about their entry into the Mega Drive market. Namco discusses their background in arcade and home console development and explains their reasons for supporting the Mega Drive. They cite the system's growing popularity both in Japan and overseas, as well as the ease of porting arcade titles due to their experience. They plan to release their first Mega Drive title, the Arcade Racer Final Lap, in July, followed by another game in September and a puzzle game in December. Interestingly, Namco states they aim to deliver experiences that feel original on the Mega Drive, even if the game is based on an existing property, particularly if it's already available on other similar consoles like the PC Engine. They confirm they are considering creating entirely new games specifically for the Mega Drive platform. The page also includes a timeline of Namco's history, highlighting key arcade releases like Galaxian, Pac-Man, Pole Position, and Xevious, and their expansion into home consoles. A photo of the Namco representative being interviewed is also featured. This page continues the discussion about Namco entering the Mega Drive market, featuring a photo of the Namco building and an interview with Mr. Yokoyama, head of Consumer Business Division. He discusses Namco's development philosophy, emphasizing user feedback and creating games players want. He touches on hardware differences between the Super Famicom, Mega Drive, and PC Engine, noting that while graphical capabilities vary, the fundamental approach to game design remains consistent. The page highlights Namco's first Mega Drive release, Furios, scheduled for July 20th. Furios is an arcade port from Namco's System 2 hardware, originally known for features like rotation and scaling. The Mega Drive version is noted as a solid port, particularly praised for its sound quality, including voice samples for the goddess Artemis, despite some acknowledged graphical differences compared to the arcade original. Brief mentions are also made of Namco's involvement with the Game Gear and their development status for the Super Famicom. This page introduces Kaneko's entry into the Sega Mega Drive market, featuring an interview with the managing director. Kaneko, known for their arcade games, is making an aggressive move into the consumer console space, citing the Mega Drive's robust user base and hardware capabilities as key factors. The interview touches upon their development philosophy, emphasizing in-house porting expertise. Their first planned release for the Mega Drive is a port of their arcade shooter, Aeroblaster. The page also includes a brief company history timeline, listing some of their past arcade hits. Knuckle intends to release several titles annually for the Mega Drive, with tentative future projects including Berlin Wall and Comical Act. This page brings exciting news for Mega Drive owners with updates on third-party support and upcoming titles. Two new publishers, Game Arts and Sunsoft, are joining the console's lineup. Game Arts, known for action games, is porting their 1988 release Valis, and also bringing a popular, long-running Mahjong series. Sunsoft is entering the Mega Drive scene with the hit PC action title Tongue of the Fat Man, with a puzzle game also planned for September. The page also highlights new software information, noting an increase in action RPGs. Fans can look forward to Valis 2 from Tricola. Additionally, NCS, Messiah, is porting their popular X68000 GameStar Cruiser, a blend of 3D shooting and adventure. Screenshots on the page include DJ Boy, which was released on May 19th, Aeroblaster, now listed under the slightly altered title Aeroblasters, and what appears to be the X68000 version of Star Cruiser. There's also a photo featuring Midori Osaki, who handles public relations for Shui and Kaneko. This page features a special report on recruitment in the game industry, focusing on the aspiration to become a game creator. It addresses the growing interest among game fans to join the industry, while acknowledging the industry's need for new talent. The article highlights that game creator isn't a single job, but an umbrella term encompassing various specialized roles. It introduces some of these key positions and their responsibilities. Game designer, involved in the overall planning and conceptualization of a game. Graphic designer, responsible for creating the visuals, including character designs and backgrounds, requiring both artistic skill and technical knowledge like computer graphics. Programmer, the core technical role, writing the code that makes the game function and renders the graphics. Sound creator, mentioned but details not fully visible. The page includes an illustration depicting people applying for jobs at a company, symbolizing the recruitment drive discussed in the text. The content serves as a guide for aspiring game developers, explaining the different paths one can take within the industry. This page delves further into the game industry, focusing on the environment surrounding it and detailing various roles and paths to becoming a game creator. Building on the previous discussion of different jobs, it highlights the industry's explosive growth since the introduction of consoles like the Famicom, NES, in 1983, followed by platforms from Sega and NEC, and the massive success of handhelds like the Game Boy, and consoles like the Super Famicom, SNES. The article points out that this rapid expansion has created a significant demand for talent across various specializations within game development, including programming, graphics, and sound creation. It discusses different ways aspiring individuals can enter the field, from joining established game companies, often in technical or art roles, to working freelance. Ultimately, it emphasizes that passion, specialized skills, and dedicated effort are key to succeeding in the competitive world of game creation. Illustrations depict people working at computers, drawing, potentially composing music, and even a scene symbolizing the current job market where companies are actively seeking talent. This page features a Maker Direct Answer section where various game companies, including developers and publishers like Wolf Team, Kaneko, Sunsoft, Sega, Technosoft, Toho Plan, Namco, NCS, Nihon Falcom, Hot B, and Micronet, directly answer questions about hiring game creators. Building on the previous page's theme of entering the industry, it provides concrete insights into what these companies look for. The first question asks about qualifications for hiring. Responses vary, with some emphasizing technical skills like programming in assembly language or understanding programming fundamentals, while others state that specific qualifications aren't strictly necessary, focusing instead on passion and potential. The second question delves into the desired qualities and talent. Companies frequently mention a strong passion for games, creativity, good communication skills, and specialized abilities in planning, graphics, or programming. They seek individuals with drive and the ability to work effectively within a team. Finally, the third question outlines hiring methods. Common practices include face-to-face interviews, technical skill tests, especially for programmers and graphic artists, portfolio reviews, and sometimes written exams. The general consensus is that a combination of assessing technical proficiency, creative ability, and personal fit is crucial in the selection process. It's clear that while skills are important, companies also value passion and the right attitude. This page shifts the focus to independent game production, featuring insights from two prominent figures, Iijima Kentaro of Lightstaff and Endo Masatoshi of Game Studio. Iijima, known for titles like Last Armageddon and Burai, discusses hiring, emphasizing that age and background are less important than passion and determination. He seeks individuals with strong motivation and the ability to think for themselves, even if they are a bit unconventional. The cartoon character labeled Motivation perfectly encapsulates this sentiment. Endo Masatoshi, creator of arcade classics like Xevious and the Tower of Druaga, and involved with Wizardry 2 Eyes, provides his perspective. Game Studio prioritizes deep knowledge and specific skills, alongside attributes like logical thinking, flexibility, and good communication. They look for individuals with a strong foundation, but also the adaptability to work in a team and contribute ideas. Continuing the theme from the previous page, there's a table summarizing the hiring results from the past year and projected hiring plans for the current year from various game companies, along with contact information, serving as a practical guide for aspiring developers. Additionally, a brief guide lists several vocational schools specializing in game development, offering educational pathways into the industry. This page is a mail-order catalog from a store called Hop, offering a vast selection of consoles and games for various platforms. It covers everything from the NES and Famicom Disk System to the TurboGrafx-16, Super Famicom, Game Boy, and of course, the Mega Drive. Each listing includes the original price and the discounted mail-order price, providing a convenient way for players across Japan to purchase the latest gaming hardware and software. For Mega Drive fans, the catalog features essential titles like Phantasy Star II, the intense shooter Thunder Force II, the arcade port SWAT, and many others, all available for direct purchase. The page also details the ordering process, including how to contact the store by phone, send payments, and information regarding delivery and potential delays, making it a comprehensive guide for remote shopping. This page features the second installment of the Looking from Behind the TV Monitor, Game Writer's Casual Diary column, titled, Mr. Phoenix and Mr. Ogre of Eastern Store Enter the Picture. The entry recounts the author's early experiences with arcade games. The writer reflects on their first encounters, starting with Space Invaders, but quickly moving to Galaxian, which they found much more impressive. They highlight Galaxian's vibrant display, detailed enemy sprites, especially the flagship and Galaxian itself, and captivating sound effects and music as significant advancements over earlier games. They also mention Galaga, noting its improvements. Another game fondly recalled is Pac-Man, specifically mentioning the satisfying feeling of using the power pellet to turn the tables on the ghosts. Finally, they touch upon Space Firebird, noting its visually striking gameplay, with enemies transforming into a phoenix when defeated. The author shares memories of playing these games at an arcade center called Eastern Store. The article provides a nostalgic look back at the foundational arcade games that captivated the writer and many others, emphasizing the progression of graphics, sound, and gameplay mechanics that made these titles so memorable. The accompanying illustration is a whimsical depiction of an elephant playing a grand piano-like instrument with a small character on top, seemingly unrelated to specific game screenshots, but capturing a feeling of playfulness or music. This page discusses user preferences for Sega Mega Drive games. As the console hits a significant milestone in Japan, the article highlights that users are particularly interested in RPG and simulation games, with a strong desire for innovation within these genres. It mentions titles like Populous and Sim City as examples of popular simulation types, and notes anticipation for Romance of the Three Kingdoms. However, the article points out that while RPG is the most desired genre according to user data, action and shooting games are also highly anticipated, with users specifically demanding high-quality, arcade-perfect ports. The author notes that these genres are areas where the Mega Drive truly excels. The piece also touches upon the third-party developers users are most looking forward to, mentioning key players like Namco, Technos, Taito, and others known for their technical prowess, expected to deliver exciting experiences. The core message is about understanding user expectations for both innovative and well-executed traditional games. This page continues the discussion on user expectations, focusing specifically on what users hope to see from software manufacturers on the Mega Drive. It highlights the strong desire for PCB-ASED software companies to bring their RPG and simulation expertise to the platform, expressing hope for perfect ports of classic titles and innovative new original games tailored for the Mega Drive. The article touches upon the unique position of the Mega Drive in attracting users who appreciate these genres. It also presents data, likely from a survey, detailing the top 20 software manufacturers users most want to see developing for the system, indicating a significant interest in developers known for PC and console titles. The content reinforces the previous page's point about the user base's diverse tastes, particularly their anticipation for quality content from anticipated third-party partners across various genres, but with a notable emphasis here on the strategic importance of RPGs and simulations and the developers associated with them. This page features an article from the Sound Club section, Volume 8, titled Hunting on Paris Very Hip, authored by Yasuhiko Shimazu. It's a cultural report focusing on music trends observed in Paris. The author describes the music scene, noting a mix of traditional French sounds like chanson, alongside strong American influences. The article touches on what kind of music younger Parisians listen to, including the possibility of game music. There's a mention of Super Mario, indicating that game culture is part of the discussion, perhaps in the context of popular music or audio. The piece also delves into the topic of buying music and audio equipment in Paris, potentially comparing it to the situation in Japan, and mentions costs related to game hardware and software like consoles, cartridges, creeds, and even synthesizers. Overall, it's an observational piece blending music, culture, and possibly game-related sound from a Parisian perspective. This page provides an information update focused on new CD releases, primarily game soundtracks, available from June 21st. Highlighted releases include the Neo Geo Sound Power per Gram, SMSNK2, featuring original music and special arrangements from 5 different Neo Geo game genres, with early buyers receiving a bonus music tape. Also announced is the Legend of Schwarzschild soundtrack, presenting arranged and original versions of music from the strategy game series, noted for its attractive jacket art. From the Saturn GSM 1500 series, Sega's Afterburner Sega SST Band album features new arrangements by SST Band, alongside original and arcade versions of classic tracks. Another Sega entry, Flashpoint Blockseed Sega, brings together music and sound effects from these popular puzzle titles, including previously unused tunes. Capcom is represented with the Gargoyle's Quest, Reda Reamer, Makaimura Gaiden. Capcom Alf Lila Walila CD, offering fully arranged versions of all tracks from the Game Boy spin-off, arranged by Kei Takanishi. There's also a brief note about the IKA-10 Market Shop relocating, suggesting it might be a place for enthusiasts to find these sorts of releases. This page features a special theme focusing on the films of director Stanley Kubrick. The introduction highlights the enduring quality and impact of his work, noting his distinctive personal style and hands-on approach to filmmaking. The article states, it was difficult to choose only 3 films to feature, given the excellence of his entire body of work. 3 of Kubrick's notable films are discussed in detail. First is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, a satirical look at the Cold War arms race, detailing a nuclear crisis triggered by a rogue general, featuring characters like General Ripper and the titular drive. Strangelove. Next is the horror classic The Shining, about a family's terrifying winter isolation in a haunted hotel, focusing on Jack Torrance's descent into madness and his son Danny's psychic abilities at the Overlook Hotel. Finally, Full Metal Jacket is covered, depicting the brutal training of us Marines for the Vietnam War under figures like Drill Sergeant Hartman, followed by the harsh realities faced by characters like Joker and Pyle on the battlefield. The feature emphasizes how Kubrick's films continue to captivate audiences with their unique worlds and emotional depth, suggesting their lasting influence makes them worth seeking out, even through film clubs or revival screenings for older titles. This page continues the focus on Stanley Kubrick's films through a dialogue between 2 contributors, Aaron J.II and Yuko Kaju. They discuss various aspects of Kubrick's work, agreeing that all his films are worth watching, and noting his distinct style. The conversation touches on Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, highlighting Peter Sellers' remarkable performance, playing multiple characters, and commenting on how the Japanese title doesn't fully capture the original's nuance. They then move to The Shining, appreciating its psychological horror and intense atmosphere, particularly noting memorable scenes and the ending. Finally, Full Metal Jacket is discussed, focusing on its stark portrayal of Marine training under the intense Drill Sergeant Hartman and the subsequent depiction of the harsh realities of war. They praise the acting and how the film effectively conveys the transformation of the recruits. The dialogue offers personal impressions and reactions to these cinematic classics. This page features the Hot Hot Club Part 2, Ebichan's Confident Preview Room, focusing on the movie Bataashi Kingyo, a pleasant film released in June. This section provides a detailed preview, starting with the story of Kaoru, who joins a swim club after being captivated by Sonoko. Despite Sonoko's complete indifference, Kaoru relentlessly pursues her with awkward earnestness. The review highlights Kaoru's clumsy attempts and Sonoko's cool demeanor, detailing Kaoru's journey and eventual transformation. The page also lists the main cast, including Kaoru played by Takamichi Tsutsui and Sonoko by Sakino Takaoka, along with the director, screenwriter, and original author of the work. A separate commentary section explores the experience of watching Kaoru's pursuit, describing his initial stinky words and awkwardness. The commentator finds themselves strangely drawn to Kaoru, noting the relatable awkwardness of youth and heartfelt but clumsy expressions. The dynamic between Kaoru's persistent, unrefined efforts and Sonoko's detached coolness is discussed, ultimately concluding that Kaoru's awkwardness becomes compelling, leading to a sense of pleasure in watching his transformation and uncontrollable pursuit. This page continues the Hot Hot Club series, following up on the thoughts about the movie Bataashi Kingyo, focusing on characters like Riko and reflecting on their portrayals. The main feature of this section is a major event announcement for the multimedia project Cyber City Oedo 808. Scheduled for July 25th, this screening event invites 1,000 people and highlights the diverse companies involved, including NCS, Madhouse, and King Records. The event promises screenings of the original video animation, greetings from staff and voice actors, prize giveaways, a performance of the theme song, and even test plays of the upcoming Cyber City Oedo 808 games for TV and PC Engine platforms. The page also lists the multimedia products available, including the OVA series, the PC Engine game, published by NCS, and a game BGM collection. A significant part of the page is dedicated to describing the first episode of the OVA, titled Ancient Memories. The story synopsis sets the scene in cybernetic Odo in 2808, where a rogue AI housed in the main computer of a skyscraper has been hacked. This leads to the city's systems shutting down and the city becoming a ghost town. Mobile detectives are dispatched to uncover the mystery and apprehend the culprit from the web of computer communications. Accompanying the text are illustrations of main characters from the OVA, looking ready for action in the futuristic setting. This page clearly promotes the expansion of the Cyber City Oedo 808 world across animation and gaming mediums. This page features the third volume of the Nostalgic Game Graffiti column, which this time delves into the world of nostalgic sports games, putting a particular spotlight on arm wrestling titles. The author shares personal reflections on the appeal of these games, discussing the impressions they leave, the fun of competing against others or the AI, and how they can be seen as lessons in life. The column touches on the strategic depth found in some sports games, contrasting it with the more direct, strength-based challenge of games like arm wrestling. It highlights the simple joy derived from winning and losing in these straightforward titles. The author mentions Sega's Heavyweight Champ, describing it as a game focused on rivalry and intense, button-mashing action that leads to fatigue. The second part of the feature specifically examines the history and design of arm wrestling games. Referencing the Sylvester Stallone film Over the Top, it notes the prominence of the genre and discusses early examples. The piece describes the various types of opponents faced, from large, powerful characters to those depicted with distinctive styles or names, emphasizing the unique character designs within these games. This page continues the column on Nostalgic Game Graffiti, focusing again on arm wrestling games. The author reminisces about playing these games as a child, easily defeating opponents and challenging friends, sometimes feeling a bit melancholic afterward. They contrast these old mechanical games with modern versions, noting how quickly they can now defeat the AI opponent. The column then delves into the arm wrestling game tragedy, recounting a well-known incident investigated by a nostalgic game preservation committee. They obtained a flyer for an arm wrestling game and discussed the impressions it left upon its debut. A significant event reported in the newspaper involved a drunk player who broke their arm while playing. The author ponders whether a structural flaw in the machine might have been the cause. Despite this unfortunate incident, arm wrestling games didn't disappear entirely. The page shows images of vintage arcade arm wrestling machines, including one with a mannequin arm, and opponent selection options like Yokozuna and Ozeki. It also features a detailed flyer promoting a machine, encouraging players to challenge the grand champion. The article notes that modern arm wrestling machines, often featuring CRT displays, remain prevalent today. This page features the Emperor of Mania column by Takazoku Ikeda, this time focusing on Volume 3 and the classic volleyball anime series, Attack No. 1. The column announces a remote debut related to Attack No. 1 on July 27th. The author shares personal reflections, starting with an anecdote about a meal, before diving into the anime itself. The main content provides commentary and introductions to various characters from the series, including the protagonist Kozue Ayuhara, her friend Midori Hayakawa, and rivals like Shirenina and Borchinskaya. The descriptions touch upon their personalities and signature volleyball techniques, particularly different types of spikes. The author expresses a fondness for the series and its characters, reflecting on the impact it had. There are illustrations and photos related to the anime and the author. The column concludes with a brief side note about the theme song. This page features the Japan RPG Travelogue column by Takeo Aijima, titled, Journey is Blistering Heels. In this fourth installment, Karuizawa Invaders from Space Less Than Part 2 Greater Than, the author continues a personal narrative account. The story recounts a difficult trip marked by sleepless nights and a growing sense of dread, initially attributed to mysterious invaders from space. The source of anxiety is ultimately revealed to be not cosmic beings, but a grotesque, giant cockroach, humorously named Gokiburi Taru, Taru the cockroach. The ultimate evolution pest. The column blends the discomfort of travel with a humorous, RPG-inspired take on confronting monstrous pests, portraying the experience as a battle or quest. A large, detailed and labeled illustration of the fearsome Gokiburi Taru dominates the page, showcasing its features like its compound eyes, antennae, and abdomen. A small comic panel is also included below the illustration. The column uses the framework of an RPG travelogue to describe a decidedly non-heroic encounter with a common, albeit exaggerated, adversary. This page features Hippapuru Land, starting with an illustration of characters, including some strange fish-like figures, in a whimsical underwater scene. The main content is the Game Speak Freely column, where readers share their personal opinions on various games. Players offer feedback on Phantasy Star II, Generations of Doom, with some appreciating the distinct scenarios and music, but noting issues with narrative continuity from previous titles, and a desire for more engaging town interactions. Comments also cover Heavy Novas, described as a challenging game with tough enemies and bosses. Despite the difficulty, the presentation, including cutscenes and the ending, was praised, along with the emotional impact of certain character moments. One player wished for more scenes with the main characters, and the addition of a beam saber weapon. Sayoblade is also discussed, highlighted for its engaging story that draws the player in, and the simple, static illustrations which were felt to effectively convey the game's mood without unnecessary complexity. The page concludes with fan art, notably a dynamic illustration of characters from Golden Axe. This page continues the Game Speak Freely section, where readers share their thoughts. One player revisits Sayoblade after playing it again and feels it's an engaging game, comparing it to American SF films from Fantastic Studio. They enjoyed the specific terminology, gags, and character design, as well as the BGM. Another reader comments on Afterburner 2 on the Mega Drive, finding it solid despite the lack of the iconic horizontal line, horizon, in the background, which they missed. This lack is noted as something keeping the game from being perfect. There's also feedback on Vermilion, described as having an old-school feel. The player mentions the game feels familiar and wonders what genre it is. Illustrations feature artwork for Afterburner 2, Vermilion, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and Sorcerian. Readers like HSS from Aichi Prefecture, 17, and Masaharu Kuwabara from Saitama Prefecture, 16, contribute comments. Another reader, Masashi Onuki from Osaka Prefecture 20, agrees with the sentiment about Afterburner 2 needing the horizontal line. This page continues the reader feedback section, featuring fan art for Wonder Boy 2-1, Monster Lair, and a character or game likely named Jagoon. Readers share their thoughts on various Mega Drive topics. One comment discusses the Mega Drive's performance against the Game Boy's popularity, while another praises Wonder Boy 2I's challenge despite its difficulty. Several readers express a desire for games to include Japanese text in introductions and endings, and share their experiences finding used games like Phantasy Star II and Tetris. Other comments touch on the Mega Drive's future prospects, the quality of peripherals, and sightings of Mega Drive demos for titles such as Afterburner 2 and Thunderblade in arcades or stores. Loyalty to Sega and excitement for specific games like Herzog Zwei are also highlighted. This page begins with corrections from the previous issue, noting a mix-up with a DJ's name, and clarifying details from another page. It then transitions into announcing the winners of the May issue's Reader Present campaign, listing the many individuals who won prizes ranging from portable CD players and game peripherals like the Joypad X1 AP to various game titles including Darwin 4081, Legacy of the Wizard, and Afterburner. The page also features vibrant reader illustrations, including a detailed character drawing by someone named Killer Joe, and an evocative piece related to the Valleys series titled To the Continuation of the Dream by Kazuhiro Shibata. Finally, the lower section calls for reader submissions for the August issue's Biparu Land section, outlining categories for sharing opinions on games, addressing comments to the industry, discussing Mega Drive tech, and submitting illustrations. This page presents the B-Mega Dataland section, showcasing top game rankings. It features the top 5 best-selling Mega Drive software titles and the top 5 popular arcade video games based on data from cooperating stores. The Mega Drive sales chart highlights Phantasy Star II, Generations of Doom as the #1 seller, an epic RPG with an overhead exploration view shown in its screenshot. Following closely are classics like Afterburner 2, a high-speed flight sim, and the unique organic vertical shooter Darwin 4081. The chart also lists Air Diver, another cockpit shooter, and the adventure game Blade, featuring character portraits. Release dates and prices for these titles are provided. The arcade chart features the most popular video games. The Motorcycle Racer WGP takes the top spot, alongside enduring hits like the block-dropping puzzle game Columns, the intense top-down shooter Mercs, known as Senju no Ukami 2, the classic Racer Final Lap, and the ever-present Puzzle King, Tetris. Screenshots illustrate the diverse gameplay across these titles, from racing to puzzle grids and military action. The page also includes a simple key explaining trend indicators for game rankings. This page presents reader insights into upcoming and desired Mega Drive titles. The top left section features the top 10 most anticipated new games as voted by readers. Thunder Force 2i takes the top spot with a commanding lead, followed by Super Monaco, GP, and Fantasia. The main focus is the Mega Drive new software schedule, a comprehensive list of upcoming games with their planned release dates, genres, manufacturers, and prices. The schedule spans from June into the future, detailing titles across various genres like shooters, action games, RPGs, and puzzles, showing the breadth of software planned for the console. Finally, the bottom left section lists the top 10 games readers want ported to Mega Drive. The Gradius series leads this wish list, indicating strong demand for popular arcade and console franchises to appear on the Mega Drive. Other desired ports include Valkyrie no Densetsu, Final Fight, and the YS series. This page features updates from various Sega Mega Drive software manufacturers, including Sega, Wolf Team, NCS, Technosoft, Taito, and Asmik. Sega highlights upcoming titles like Twin Hawk, Ghostbusters, and the popular puzzle game Columns. Wolf Team mentions their involvement with the Game Gear and the title Zangear. NCS discusses the impending release of Hellfire and a special Mega Drive version. Technosoft talks about Thunder Force 2i, mentioning a promotion involving voice actor Kaoru, and the package for Herzog Zwei at a toy show. Taito announces Rastan Saga 2 for August, praising its detailed graphics and intense sound. Asmik promotes Air Diver and the wrestling game Ringside Angel, featuring wrestler Cutie Suzuki. They also hint at an upcoming event. The lower section introduces the completed Megadora car, a special truck part of Hiroko Moriguchi's Mega Kids TV show tour. This impressive vehicle features a large 27-inch display, 8 speakers, a Mega Drive unit, Laserdisc, CD player, and various AV equipment, even equipped with a car phone and modem for modem communication. The truck is painted pink and looks quite flashy. The article notes the car is ready to visit towns across Japan. Images show the truck itself, people interacting with the display inside, and Hiroko Moriguchi alongside guests, likely from the show or an unveiling event. The vehicle is part of a nationwide campaign planned for the summer. This page features an information spread covering various new products and campaigns. Featured prominently is a unique board game titled For Girls, a Guy 5-step utilization course game, which tasks players with strategically utilizing different types of male characters to achieve objectives. There's also a campaign announcement for the excellent air combat simulator, Glock Air Battle, detailing prizes like signed photo albums and strategy guides for purchasers. Beyond software, the page showcases interesting merchandise, like smiley face stop lamps for vehicles, and an Iconbo lamp that sways. A quick push Binbon BU quiz buzzer system is presented, featuring real quiz questions. There's also a look at the card game Dynamite Nurse, where players manage a bustling hospital, and a section highlighting books, including one related to the Famicom game Buckland. The page gives a snapshot of the diverse range of entertainment products available to gamers at the time. The next page presents the 7th installment of an SF fantasy novella titled Continuing the Dream, written by Raiichi Hara. This segment is presented purely as a literary piece within the magazine. Accompanying the text is a small illustration depicting two figures gazing up at a sky filled with shooting stars. The page is dedicated entirely to this serialized story, offering readers a fictional escape separate from the usual gaming content. This page is the start of a feature article titled Game Center Renovation Plan or Arcade Improvement Plan. It directly addresses the future of arcades in the 1990s, posing the question, what will happen to game centers in the 90s? The text notes that arcades have long been perceived by the general public as dark, uncool, and noisy places. It highlights that both dedicated game enthusiasts and casual visitors are searching for their ideal arcade experience, and asks what steps should be taken to change the current situation. The accompanying image shows what appears to be a unique mechanical or hybrid arcade game with a landscape backdrop and a physical character moving on the playfield, potentially illustrating a type of game or environment discussed in the feature. This page continues the feature on the future of game centers, with industry leaders from Sega, Namco, Sigma, and Taito discussing the past, present, and future of arcades. They delve into the public perception, titled Dark, Uncool, and Fuzoku Business, referencing regulations like the Fuzoku Business Law that impacted operating hours. The discussion highlights how these regulations and the perceived image of being dark, noisy, and having overly difficult games contributed to a decline after the boom period. They note efforts to transform arcades into brighter, cleaner environments to attract a wider audience, including women and younger patrons, citing locations like Game Fantasia as examples of this shift. An image shows the interior of Sega Orb Park as an example of a modern, brighter arcade space. The page also features a fascinating section about a theatrical production of Peer Gynt in Tokyo, where the stage design incorporates a game center simulator concept to depict the journey of the play's protagonist, showing how arcade concepts are influencing other forms of entertainment. This page delves further into the transformation of game centers, highlighting the shift away from just catering to hardcore players. Prize machines like the popular UFO catcher are noted as attracting a wider audience, and centers are becoming brighter and more welcoming to appeal to women and families. Examples like Sega World at Orb Park are mentioned as part of this new wave of large-scale amusement complexes. The interview with Mr. Kawai from Sigma confirms this trend, stating that the target audience is broadening, with an increase in female customers. Shibuya Game Fantasia is showcased as another example of a modern arcade with a distinctive pop art design. The page also explains the impact of the Fuzoku Business Law, which was amended in 1985 to include game centers, imposing restrictions like banning 24-hour operation and labeling certain games as potentially problematic, a law described as unreasonable. A market size graph shows a dip after the 1985 law, but a recovery in recent years. Conceptual arcade designs are also illustrated, showing futuristic ideas for multiplayer and individual machines. This page features an update from Taito Corporation, highlighting their efforts to broaden the appeal of game centers beyond just core gamers. An executive from Taito is shown alongside their WGP motorcycle racing arcade game. The text discusses how games like UFO Catcher and Metal games, along with classics like Tetris, have helped attract a more diverse audience, including women. The focus is on making arcades more welcoming and catering to different demographics, from beginners to hardcore fans and families. Below, a feature titled Game Center, Junglification Junk Excavation Project by Yoshitake Tsuyoshi presents a more conceptual look at the topic. Accompanied by a montage of cluttered, overgrown spaces, the text reflects on childhood experiences building secret bases from salvaged materials. Contrasting this with a present, where value is often solely measured by money, the author proposes a conceptual junglification and junk excavation plan for spaces like Shinjuku Gyoen, suggesting a vision that contrasts with large-scale developments like the Tokyo Bayfront or Disneyland, finding value in the discarded and the natural. The overall tone suggests a longing for a time when creativity and resourcefulness held different forms of value compared to today's monetized landscape. This page continues the discussion on revitalizing game centers. It highlights that the industry is still heavily focused on hardcore gamers, suggesting a need to target a broader audience. The article muses on the disconnect between developers and players, and the importance of tailoring experiences to different arcade formats. It also questions if amusement can become a lasting trend, worrying that new game centers might be fleeting fads like past booms. The real appeal, it suggests, might lie in constant novelty and creating integrated experiences within places like restaurants or cafes. Below, the Junglification project continues, featuring artist Yoshitake Tsuyoshi. He elaborates on his vision of finding value in discarded materials and nature, creating a unique space near Shinjuku Gyoen as a contrast to modern development. He imagines this space as a place for adults to reconnect with humanity and for children to develop creativity. He proposes using waste to create impactful monuments, like a sculpture described as a giant coffin with a burning interior, symbolizing life and death. The concept includes incorporating modern play, possibly salvaging old arcade machines. The large image below likely depicts this conceptual space, showing people interacting with machines in an organic, cave-like setting. The page also includes a profile of Yoshitake Tsuyoshi, detailing his work as a sculptor, known for his unique firework technique involving burning wood and casting concrete. This page continues the discussion on the future of game centers. The article reflects on past failures to integrate games with other experiences like dining, noting that the draw of food often overshadowed the games. It suggests that true revitalization requires creating unique, integrated amusement spots, perhaps combining games with cafes or similar concepts. The authors lament the perception of game centers as dull or lacking communication, proposing that future games should foster interaction and shared experiences rather than being solely focused on the player-machine relationship. They see potential in communication-focused games and dedicated sensory experiences. Complementing this, the interview with Namco reveals their perspective. They observe a significant shift in the past couple of years, with a wider age range of people visiting arcades. They believe this is due to individuals previously unfamiliar with games discovering their appeal. Namco's focus is on creating an environment that encourages shared excitement and communication among players, moving beyond isolated gameplay. They are adapting their strategy for both large suburban locations and smaller city spots. The page also includes graphs illustrating trends in arcade attendance and the changing age demographics of players over time. A large image showcases a sensory-focused arcade machine designed for immersive experiences with sound and vibration, highlighting one direction the industry is exploring. This page continues the deep dive into Namco's vertical shooter, Furios, which hit the scene on July 20, 1990. This segment acts as Complete Master Part 2, focusing on chapters 1 through 4 in the game's normal mode, and even includes a monster manual. The article describes Furios as a solid port of a Namco arcade game, taking players on a mythological journey involving Artemis and Apollo. Gameplay revolves around simple controls, focusing on movement and shooting, while collecting power-ups like speed boosts, lasers, and options, represented by a golden owl. The game features 2 difficulty modes, normal and advanced, with the latter being the true test for experienced players. The reviewer points out that while it's a good port, the Mega Drive version unfortunately lacks the dynamic screen rotation seen in the original arcade game. Despite this, the core gameplay and ship movement are praised for feeling responsive and satisfying. The game is noted as being quite challenging, requiring a focused, almost Spartan approach to succeed, especially against tough bosses like Duban without the necessary Sword of Light. Screenshots showcase the vibrant environments and varied enemies players will face. This page continues the guide for Furios, focusing on the initial stages of the game. It covers Chapter 1, including the Hills of Tyros and the Temple of Medusa. The guide highlights the importance of item collection, noting the beneficial beam power-up which is delivered by the friendly character, Pubo. It also provides strategy for the chapter's boss, Medusa, emphasizing the need to charge attacks and evade her beams. The page includes a section detailing the enemies encountered in this chapter, listing foes like the Skeleton, Birdman, Ion, Sylph, Radon, and Army. Portraits of the distressed Artemis are shown, suggesting her capture and the urgent need for Apollo's intervention. The page features several screenshots, showing the vertical scrolling stages and the starting point of the level. This page continues the guide for Golvelius. It focuses on navigating the map leading to Medusa's shrine and entering the temple itself. The guide highlights the perilous nature of Medusa's reflected eye beams inside the shrine, stressing the need to dodge them carefully. It also mentions the effectiveness of certain items, like the beam power-up, for quickly dealing with threats. A prominent illustration of a large red dragon is featured centrally. The lower section provides details on various enemies you'll encounter, including the Magician, Zombie, Gargoyle, Birdman, Emza, Mukamusi, and Monkey Fight, giving a brief overview of their tactics and weak points. This page continues the guide for Golvelius, focusing on Chapter 2, the underground ruins and the grave of Krei. It details how to navigate the dungeon, starting from the top of the screen, encountering continuous waves of zombies and other resilient enemies. The guide suggests using charged shots for groups of enemies. It also highlights enemies embedded in walls, and mentions using reflected beams for clearing areas inside the dungeon. The boss, Krei, is a three-headed creature, and the key strategy is to target and destroy the crystal balls located in the center. The bottom section provides descriptions of various underground enemies encountered in this chapter, such as the slug-like Strooper, the wall-mounted Poison Mouth, the rock Glidania, the worm-like Mora, the wall-dwelling Disnake, and the flying Hyura, briefly noting their characteristics or where they appear. This page covers Chapter 3 of Philios, focusing on the Sky Temple group and the Temple of Sekren. The guide highlights the beautiful sky environment of this chapter, featuring impressive double scrolling that enhances the sense of flight. A major challenge discussed is navigating the level's walls and obstacles, especially during segments with sudden, high-speed vertical scrolling. The guide suggests a tactic for dealing with enemies, luring them into the walls during these fast-paced sections. The page also includes screenshots showcasing the level design, and provides descriptions and simple stats for several enemies you'll encounter, including the Migfawn, Griffon, Dragonfighter, Firehead, Firebee, and Firebird. The boss of this chapter, the stunning Sekren, is also pictured. The reviewer emphasizes that avoiding collisions during the rapid scrolling is paramount, more so than focusing purely on offense. This page details Philios' fiery Chapter 4, covering the volcanic stage, enemies like Chimera and Gomesu, and the final boss, Antaios. This page continues the coverage of Philios, focusing again on the Chapter 4 boss, Antaios, and also revisiting the Chapter 1 boss, Seiren, providing stats for both. A section reflects positively on the quality of the Philios port and looks ahead to future content. The page prominently features a sudden project contest, where readers are invited to add dialogue to Philios character illustrations for a chance to win various prizes, including game software, merchandise, and posters. Screenshots from later chapters like 5 and 3 are also shown, giving a glimpse of upcoming challenges. This page dives into the exciting world of Thunder Force 2i, continuing the coverage of this intense shooter. The article picks up from Stage 3, promising an in-depth look as you push towards the enemy's home base. The text highlights the increasing difficulty, noting that the enemy is heating things up after 2 planets have been cleared, adapting to the player's strength with new weapons and fierce counterattacks. Details are given about specific stages, mentioning Stage 3, Sekshreen, as an underwater battle, and Stage 4, Hades, featuring intense ground and aerial combat on a volatile planet. The final planet, Elis, is described as a harsh, ice-covered world. The reviewer emphasizes that natural disasters become a major factor in the latter stages, requiring a skilled pilot to advance. The page features several screenshots showing the underwater environment of Stage 3, complete with aquatic enemies, and the player's ship navigating the depths. It captures the vibrant graphics and detailed backgrounds the series is known for. The coverage sets the stage for the challenges ahead in Thunder Force 2's later levels. This page plunges into the aquatic challenge of Stage 3 in Thunder Force 2, taking us to the deep-sea planet of Saturn. This stage shifts the gameplay entirely underwater, presenting unique obstacles and enemy types. You'll face fixed defenses, like the underwater cannon Laser, which, despite being stationary, are incredibly durable, and fire-fast lasers, making direct assaults tricky. The mid-boss is the large Mandalauis submarine, a surprisingly agile vessel that bombards you with scattered shots, energy waves, and linked lasers. It's a formidable opponent that demands careful maneuvering. The main boss of Saturn is the Kingfish, a truly grotesque creature that serves as the planet's guardian. This boss is remarkably fast, thanks to its powerful ion engines, and attacks with a devastating combination of a ring laser and high-speed underwater missiles, creating a dense barrage. The key to defeating the Kingfish is hitting its weak point, located in the eye area. However, charging head-on is ill-advised. The recommended strategy involves using weapons like the Wave or Hunter and avoiding direct frontal confrontations against its heavy fire. The screenshots showcase the vibrant underwater environment and the intense boss fight, highlighting the visual detail and challenging gameplay this stage offers. This page delves into Stage 4 of Thunder Force 2, taking us to the unstable and dangerous planet Hades. This world is depicted as a hollow planet with incredibly unstable ground, featuring unpredictable hazards like falling terrain, rocks that shoot up from below, and even rotating rock formations used as weapons. The planet itself is described as a living, weaponized entity, requiring players to observe the ground's movement to survive. Key enemies in this stage include the evil worms, rock-based creatures that emerge from ground gaps. While individually weak at the head, they appear in pairs and can be quite dangerous. There are also stationary missile launchers in narrow passages that need to be dealt with quickly to avoid their homing projectiles. A unique challenge is the biocannon, a large biological turret surrounded by unsettling eggs. The text warns that attacking the eggs causes disturbing children to rush out. Despite the perilous environment, Planet Hades is highlighted as the stage with the most abundant items. The magazine notes the presence of many branching paths and traps, but encourages players to collect the numerous items available, especially in narrow areas, to build up significant firepower. It mentions that the IUP, Item Unit Pod, can be found near the entrance. The screenshots showcase the rocky caverns, the evil worms, and the biocannon, illustrating the unique threats of this biological and geological nightmare world. This page continues the deep dive into Thunder Force 2's treacherous Stage 4. It covers specific obstacles and enemies encountered in this unstable environment. The guide warns of dead ends that require backtracking using the backfire weapon, where enemies will be waiting. It then introduces a mid-boss that isn't fast, but uses tricky boomerang and teardrop-shaped lasers, some of which change color. Fixed anti-air turrets in narrow passages are highlighted as particularly dangerous due to the confined space, noting their lasers can angle in 3 directions, and they are quite durable. Annoying popping rock formations, especially during high-speed scrolling, are also discussed, advising players to avoid staying near the ground or moving rocks. Finally, the page details the stage boss, the giant robo-crab, referred to as G-Lobster here, describing its dangerous circular lasers and missiles. It points out the difficulty in damaging its weak point while dodging attacks, but mentions shields are available to help. The screenshots effectively illustrate these different threats and strategies within the stage's rocky terrain. This page moves on to detail Stage 5 of Thunder Force 2, set on the frozen planet Icarus. It highlights the harsh, ice-covered environment and the challenge it presents. The guide points out that this stage features a large number of airborne enemies, requiring full power from your ship's engines. Specific threats mentioned include dangerous ice spikes, described as sharp ice statues that move vertically. The text stresses the necessity of collecting power-ups, specifically stating that the twin shot and backfire weapons are essential for success due to the stage having many enemies that are both durable and fast. A separate section describes tough anti-aircraft guns called Orb, appearing in both fixed and floating varieties, which are highly durable and cannot be destroyed by normal attacks. Another section, titled The Terror of the Hanging Ceiling, likely refers to the vertically scrolling segments of the stage. It describes large structures warping in, small enemy planes, and mentions narrow passages requiring speed and skill. Missile attacks from the Hunter weapon are recommended here. The screenshots effectively illustrate the icy, water-filled environment and the various enemy types encountered in this challenging stage. This page shifts focus to the intense boss encounters in Thunder Force 2. First up is the mid-boss, Valharam, a formidable opponent found around the Valharam structure. Its main attack is a barrage of ball-shaped projectiles that don't fly straight, but instead curve upwards from bottom left to top right, making them tricky to dodge. The safest spot is surprisingly right underneath it. Valharam also employs short-range warps and uses its defense effectively, demanding precise footwork. It's a tough fight, especially as it unleashes challenging wave attacks. You'll definitely want to be fully equipped with items before facing this one. Following Valharam is the main boss, the mighty McBillfort. This behemoth is said to be composed of 3 combined robot bodies. Despite its huge size, it's unexpectedly agile. The guide warns against assuming it's slow, as its movements are quite nimble. Adding to the danger are hidden launchers on its left and right robot arms that fire projectiles. Currently, McBillfort is considered the strongest enemy encountered so far. To stand a chance against its potent attacks and durability, getting a shield before engaging is highly recommended. The screenshots showcase both bosses and the challenging battles they present on the Icy Stage 5. This page kicks off the 4th part of the new Soft Complete Master Series by introducing the Mega Drive port of the popular arcade shooting game, Twin Hawk. The article welcomes players to the home console version, challenging those who struggled in the arcade to conquer it this time. A significant portion of the page is dedicated to a humorous segment featuring a super fighter dog Cyclone. This includes illustrations and dialogue between a character named Euron and a dog named Inu. Dog. The dog reveals he was a large dog who lost most of his body in battle and was rebuilt as a cyborg flying military dog. Small screenshots accompany this narrative, possibly showing concept art or related visuals. The page also includes typical game screenshots showing the top-down shooting action of Twin Hawk, noting that the game starts with calm music and that the player is initially escorted by 6 allied planes. Overall, it serves as an introduction to the game and its unique, slightly quirky presentation featuring the dog Cyclone character. This page dives deeper into the Mega Drive version of Twin Hawk, expanding on the gameplay mechanics, UI elements, and power-ups. It continues the quirky narrative about the dog Cyclone, reinforcing the game's unique character. The screen display section clarifies vital information like scores, area progression, game mode, and remaining lives, essential for any pilot. A key part of the page details the power-up system, explaining which items you get from destroying specific enemy vehicles, like trucks and ships. You'll find power-ups to boost your firepower, valuable one-ups, and crucial helper planes from different sources, with some being rarer finds than others. The highlight is the in-depth explanation of Twin Hawk's signature total attack system, described vividly as stepping into the world of the human bomb kamikaze. There are 2 types. Type A calls your allied planes for a powerful kamikaze-style dive attack that deals massive damage at great risk. Type B calls your allies for supporting fire, safer but less destructive. Understanding when and how to use these special attacks is crucial for survival in this intense shooter. This page continues the guide for Twin Hawk, focusing on the challenges awaiting players in Area 01 and Area 02. Area 1 starts relatively simply but quickly ramps up the difficulty with an increasing number of enemy tanks. The back half shifts to a sea environment with more aggressive enemies and naval threats. The guide advises paying close attention to enemy patterns and using your allied helper planes wisely as you transition towards Area 02. Screenshots show the mountainous start and the naval section with ships and aircraft. Area 02 throws players into intense tank warfare right away. The page highlights the large Fred and Ginger tanks, suggesting tackling them one by one. It then describes the formidable Dragonfly heavy tank, noting its potent firepower, but suggesting it's not as tough as it looks. The advice here is to manage the onslaught effectively, using helpers to clear out weaker enemies. Screenshots depict the heavy tank action. Following Area 02 is the challenging city area. Unlike open areas, enemies here pop out unexpectedly from buildings and tunnels, creating chaotic battles. The guide recommends a cautious approach, utilizing allied support and prioritizing threats as they appear. It notes that the main enemy force in the city will transition from ground targets to larger tanks, indicating the difficulty continues to rise. Screenshots show the urban environment with tanks and buildings. The guide emphasizes that while chaotic, knowing the enemy patterns is key to success. This guide details the challenging late-game stages of Twin Hawk. Area 03, Fear of the Giant Battleship, focuses on naval combat, requiring players to strategically position their plane to use helper aircraft to clear swarms of enemies attacking from both sides. Careful attention to screen edges and focused fire are crucial. Area 04, the final area, is a relentless assault transitioning from a base to a city. The stage is filled with enemies, including the incredibly difficult Lowbox boss. Players must master precise movement, attack timing, and helper deployment to survive the chaotic battlefield. The guide stresses the importance of powering up before facing the final onslaught of heavy tanks and the boss. This page details the diverse enemy types found in Twin Hawk, presented as a Rebel Army weapon list. The goal is to understand each enemy's unique attack patterns and effective countermeasures. The guide covers a variety of ground, air, and water units, including basic fodder like the numerous SAM and Mouse units, more durable tanks like the Impulse and T-Pallet, and aggressive fixed turrets like the Cannon series with different attack patterns. It also highlights dangerous flying enemies like the missile-firing Quicksilver and the surprising Spallette. Several bosses are introduced, such as Killer Joe, the combined force of Fred and Ginger, the heavy tank Dragonfly, the large battleship Griffith, and the unique submarine Mad Octopus. The descriptions often note durability, attack directionality, movement patterns, and specific tactics needed to defeat them, emphasizing that simply shooting is not enough. Understanding these enemy characteristics is crucial for success. This page features a strategy column for the game Twin Hawk, titled Twin Hawk Sure Win Column. The main article, If You're a Man, Fly at the Forefront, discusses key strategies, particularly focusing on the effective use of the helper units. It emphasizes drawing enemy fire away from the helpers by acting as bait and dodging incoming projectiles, allowing the helpers to take down enemies. The article suggests practicing dodging and notes that the options menu allows players to adjust the difficulty. Below the main article is a section titled Fight Panda Until You Become a Zero Star Shining in the Sky, accompanied by a large, humorous illustration featuring an anthropomorphic dog and other characters. This section appears to be a dialogue or comic strip format, with the dog character commenting on the game and strategy in a more lighthearted tone. The dog and another character discuss combat and tactics in a conversational style, adding personality to the guide. The screenshots show gameplay from Twin Hawk, including a game over screen and the options menu, which offers difficulty settings. Overall, this page provides practical strategy advice for Twin Hawk, combined with engaging, character-driven content. This page features the VG Club column, checking out the latest hot video games, and it focuses on the action game Magician Lord for the Neo Geo, recently released for rental. The core mechanic revolves around the protagonist, Elta, transforming by collecting elementals. There are 3 types of elementals: fire, water, and wind, green. And combining them allows Elta to transform into 6 different powerful forms, each altering his abilities, life gauge, and attack power significantly. Treasure chests are mentioned as containing power-ups, one-ups, and hidden items to further enhance his strength. The game structure includes 7 main stages, plus a final alpha stage. Each stage features a field area, a dungeon, and a boss fight. Defeating bosses is key, rewarding the player with magic scrolls. The column emphasizes that the strategic use of transformations is crucial, as different forms are more advantageous depending on the specific stage layout and enemies. Players are encouraged to experiment and learn which transformation works best for each part of the game. The column also briefly lists other games like Bonanza Bros, Air Inferno, Camel Tree, Trigon, and TMNT. This page provides a detailed walkthrough for Stage 1 of the action game Magician Lord. It starts with the Fields section, describing the treacherous Valley of Evil and how to navigate it. A key point mentioned is the first treasure chest, which contains the Fire Elemental, allowing the protagonist, Elta, to transform into the powerful Dragon Warrior form. The guide advises dodging the attacks of the gassed enemies in this area. Next, the guide moves into the dungeon section, emphasizing that transforming into the Dragon Warrior greatly increases the life gauge before entering. Inside the dungeon, players must navigate moving platforms and face more gassed enemies. It highlights collecting transformation items, noting that one of the top treasure chests hides the Wind Elemental. Specific enemy strategies are covered, including dodging the Flying Miarta, dealing with groups of Undead Man, and the mid-boss who uses a shield and requires strategic jumping to hit. Finally, the page details the challenging big boss, Itakua. The boss drops rocks from the ceiling and breathes fire. The strategy involves carefully avoiding these attacks and concentrating damage on its face when it appears. The guide stresses that mastering these techniques is crucial to proceeding. The overall tone is practical advice for overcoming the stage's obstacles and bosses. This page features Bonanza Bros., a unique action game from Sega, known for its distinctive pastel graphics and comical style. The objective is to infiltrate various locations like mansions and museums, steal specific treasures within a time limit, and make a daring escape via a hot air balloon, all while avoiding detection and dealing with guards. The game is praised for its accessibility, including a dedicated training stage to help players learn the ropes. It supports 2 players simultaneously, with a split-screen display showing both characters' progress and the top-down map. The review highlights the game's humor, pointing out the comical movements of the characters and enemies, as well as the ridiculous traps and ways to deal with guards, such as opening doors to knock them out, or witnessing them comically transform into mannequins or fruit when caught. Various types of guards, including guardmen, mobile units, dogs, and hired thugs, are shown, each contributing to the game's lighthearted challenge. The overall tone is positive, emphasizing the game's fun co-op gameplay and humorous presentation. This page dives into 2 distinct Taito titles. First up is Air Inferno, a helicopter simulation game focused on firefighting and rescue missions. The review highlights its detailed simulation aspects, suggesting the development team put in significant effort, even consulting real pilots. It details the 4 types of rescue missions, from tackling tanker fires to rescuing people from skyscrapers, and even archaeological digs. There's also a mention of a basic training mode to help players get accustomed to the realistic controls. Next is Columns, the classic puzzle game, where you rotate gems and match 3 or more to clear them. This version seems to add a unique twist, with the gameplay involving rotating the entire screen to manipulate how the gems fall. The review notes the game's difficulty increases across 4 different courses, totaling 30 stages. An interesting feature mentioned is the Lucky Chance slot that appears when the timer is low, offering a bonus time reward based on the slot outcome. The screenshots show the intense gem matching action and the bonus slot feature. This page features a look at 2 exciting Konami titles. First up is Lightning Force, Quest for the Dark Star, presented as a full-fledged vertical scrolling shooter with intense on-screen action. The story involves a giant meteorite in 2020 that turns out to be an alien artificial intelligence, leading to war against humanity. The game's speed is highlighted, along with its impressive superweapons and large enemy characters. The power-up system is key, with various items enhancing your weapons, and a special item mechanic when playing with 2 players allows for cooperative attacks. The massive size and transformations of the boss characters are also noted as impressive. Following that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, described as a popular action game for American children starring the Ninja Turtles. The game centers around Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael challenging the evil Foot Clan. It features humorous characters and a distinct stage design. This page is part of the Mega Drive Expert Course, a help corner for players tackling challenging games. This installment focuses on Phantasy Star II-1, Generations of Doom, and Sorcerian. For Phantasy Star II-I, the question is about finding the Sword of Orasium, one of the 5 necessary weapons in the 3rd generation. The guide mentions an underwater temple near Sile, where the sword is found within a treasure chest. It's referred to as the Black Sword in the description, and highlights the importance of a hint from an old man in the area. The Sorcerian section provides strategies for defeating bosses in Scenario 6, the Apprenticed Magician, and Scenario 8, the Mansion of Marionette. For Scenario 6, the boss splits into 2 parts that must be attacked. For Scenario 8, the boss is a demon, and a key item is required, the Silver Shears. You find these by examining the King's Jewel in the mansion, and must equip them to defeat the boss. The host, Mayumi Okada, notes this corner helps players overcome obstacles in games. This page is part of the Mega Drive Trick League, continuing the focus on Phantasy Star III, Generations of Doom, with clever tips and alternative ways to play. One trick highlighted shows how to potentially gain experience and money without fighting, by attempting a technique with insufficient TP and canceling the action. Another section explores an alternative path early in the game. After rescuing Lena and meeting Mieux, you can sell your leather boots to buy the IGS Orions. If you then escape the dungeon and talk to the king, the game effectively ends prematurely. The page shows screenshots detailing these steps, concluding that this non-standard path is a dead end, requiring a reset. These fan-submitted tips offer interesting ways to exploit or see different outcomes in the game. This page continues the Mega Drive Trick League series, offering more player-submitted tips. One notable tip for Phantasy Star IV, Generations of Doom, details the effects of using different weapons or armor as items, triggering techniques with varying results, and suggesting a method for infinite TP recovery by attempting a technique with insufficient TP. The page also features tricks for Ragnagard, heavy armored soldier Lanos, including a fun detail about freely rotating the game's Messiah logo on the title screen with controller inputs after a reset. Another Ragnagard tip explains how to change the aiming mode mid-game by pausing and using specific button presses, illustrated with screenshots showing the pause menu and gameplay. Finally, the page serves as a call for submissions to the Mega Drive Trick League, explaining how readers can send in their own game secrets and glitches. Submissions are categorized into different leagues, 1A to Major League, based on quality, and prizes including cash and book coupons are awarded to top contributors. The section outlines the necessary information to include when submitting. This page features an article titled Hyper Bowling, focusing on the idea of creating your own fun. It highlights Brunswick Bowler Vision in Ikebukuro, Tokyo, which is presented as a hub for game ideas. The facility offers not just bowling, but also a range of other entertainment options like billiards, arcade games, golf, and karaoke, aiming to integrate a game sense into these activities and potentially seeking input from customers for new game concepts. The article touches upon the history of bowling's popularity in Japan, mentioning the past boom and its current status. Visuals include a smiling young person in a bowling alley, interior shots of the facility, and people enjoying pool and karaoke, emphasizing the variety of entertainment available. This page continues the exploration of game sense, delving into how computer game concepts can be applied to real-world activities. It discusses making bowling more engaging by incorporating elements like random pin setups or numerical patterns, and even special event pins, suggesting a shift from simply knocking pins down to a more strategic, game-like experience. The page also highlights several specific games running at Bowler Vision, such as Bar Bowling, which adds golf elements, Craps Shoot, based on the casino game, Clear the Decky, where you clear pins like shooting missiles, Full Shot, a golf-like game played within frames, and Carousel, a unique bowling variant where the rules are different from standard 10-pin. Screenshots feature the Crap Shoot game interface and a separate image from the game Highlander, perhaps shown as another example of gaming. Furthermore, the page serves as a major call for entries for the Bowler Vision Game Idea Contest. It directly addresses readers interested in becoming game creators, or those looking for fresh ideas beyond current Mega Drive titles. The contest seeks innovative game concepts that utilize the Bowler Vision system. Entries are accepted on standard report paper, with a deadline of July 31, 1990. Impressively, the contest offers substantial prizes, including various personal computers, video equipment, and high-quality bowling gear, making it a significant opportunity for aspiring designers. The contest is hosted by Japan Brunswick and BeepMD. This page features Chapter 7 of the satirical manga series, Legend of the End-of-Century Counterfeit Hero X Gadramon X. The story delves into the mystery surrounding the new Captain God and the true identity of a peculiar living Jizo statue. The narrative sees the appearance of invading double Moa Moa robots, bringing the action to the Sega Mobile Force. The comic follows the exploits of the red-clad Captain God, a seemingly ordinary bald monk who is the mysterious Jizo statue, and features a cybernetically enhanced female character prominently in the title art. Panels depict the Sega Mobile Force tanks in action, a map layout resembling a strategic game with hexagonal grids showing enemy positions, and the intense confrontation with the invading robots. It's a humorous, self-referential comic blending manga action, with nods to gaming concepts like strategic maps and in-universe Sega forces. A side note also references a real-world event, a meat battle, in Mitaka, hinting at the magazine's blend of gaming and contemporary life commentary. This page continues the humorous saga of Legend of the End-of-Century Counterfeit Hero X Gadramon X, picking up right after the events of the previous chapter. Here, The unconventional Captain God faces a challenge from a character representing the Sega team, who doesn't seem to respect God's leadership. The confrontation quickly escalates, with the cocky challenger physically assaulting Captain God, leaving him battered. However, the action shifts when the invasion robot number 2, likely one of the double Moa units seen before, is reported to have appeared. Despite his injured state, and a strategic plan that apparently involved a character named MegaDrive 9X, who is humorously depicted watching reruns, Captain God decides to step into the fray himself. He then undergoes a transformation into his signature God suit form. Demonstrating immense, perhaps unexpected, power, Captain God swiftly defeats the robot with a single devastating kick technique. The vertical text playfully questions if Captain God's prowess renders the planned appearance of 9X unnecessary. The bottom text indicates that the series will be taking a break in the next issue, humorously citing the author's sudden illness. This page presents a reader giveaway section, offering a variety of prizes. Headlining the presents are several notable game titles, including the classic puzzle game Columns, the scrolling shooter Twin Hawk, listed as Dai Senpu, and the critically acclaimed shooter Thunder Force 2-1. And, interestingly, a present for Dynamite Nurse, which appears to be a PC Engine title, is also included, offering a unique opportunity for a reader to win this distinct game. Beyond game software, the prizes feature exclusive merchandise and music. Readers had a chance to win items such as a signed photo book, a booklet related to the arcade and console title Glock, Air Battle, an original Wolf Team wristwatch, and Wolf Team logo stickers. For music enthusiasts, there are sound power seeds for Neo Geo games, and a CD featuring music from Afterburner, performed by the S.S. Band. The page details how readers can apply via postcard to win one of these diverse prizes, with varying quantities available for each item, ranging from a single winner for the photo book, to 20 for the Glock booklet, and 12 for the Wolf Team stickers. It's a solid lineup, mixing popular games with desirable collectibles. This page delves into the concept of establishing strong, identifiable brands within the gaming world, likening it to the DC brand phenomenon in fashion. It emphasizes the value of high-quality third-party developers on the Mega Drive, suggesting that the rise of such distinct brands will lead to an even more robust era for the console. The page announces that the next issue, the August edition, is scheduled for release on July 7th. It provides a telephone number for reader inquiries regarding the magazine's content. Furthermore, the publication is actively seeking writers with a passion for games to join their team. The page also includes the magazine's staff list and details how readers can participate in a comprehensive survey via postcard, sharing insights into their demographics, gaming habits, and preferences for future content and games. A playful illustration depicts cartoon characters on a stage, adding a touch of whimsical charm to the page. This page is a vibrant advertisement for the highly anticipated sequel, Thunder Force 2i, following the critically acclaimed Thunder Force 2 on the Mega Drive. Technosoft hypes the game as a refined, authentic shooting experience building upon its predecessor. It boasts new technical features like line scrolling, massive boss encounters, and enhanced weaponry. The game also features larger character sprites, adjustable speed, clear voice acting, and stereo sound to heighten the immersive battlefield atmosphere. The page displays 2 gameplay screenshots showing intense horizontal scrolling action with detailed environments and enemy sprites. Below the main text, it announces the release date of June 8th and the price of 6,800 yen, excluding tax. There's also a mention of Technosoft's appearance at the 90 Tokyo Toy Show on June 10th, where visitors could participate in a game demo and promotion. Finally, the ad introduces Kanako and Kaoru from Technosoft's Gals Club, revealing they provide voice work in Thunder Force 2i's and encouraging support. This page is a dramatic splash page announcing the arrival of Thunder Force 2i, the highly anticipated sequel to Thunder Force 2 on the Mega Drive. The striking artwork features a sleek, futuristic spacecraft locked in battle with a colossal, fiery phoenix-like creature against a backdrop of vibrant red planets and starfields, conveying intense space action. The bold Japanese text proclaims the birth of powerful super shooting, highlighting the game's genre and promising an impactful experience building on its acclaimed predecessor. The Mega Drive logo confirms the platform for this exciting new entry in the series. This page showcases 2 upcoming Sega Mega Drive titles alongside an advertisement for the console itself. Featured prominently is Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, highlighted by a striking pixelated portrait of the King of Pop and the tagline, Finally landed! Michael brings you dancing action. Screenshots reveal various gameplay environments, including a pool hall and other indoor locations, demonstrating the action game where Michael uses his unique dancing power to rescue kidnapped children from the evil Mr. Big. The page announces its release for August at a price of 6,000 yen. Below this is information on Ghostbusters, featuring the classic logo and an image of Slimer. The text sets the scene in New York, where mischievous ghosts have appeared, calling the Ghostbusters into action. A screenshot shows the team with the iconic Ecto-1 car. The game is scheduled for a late June release, also priced at 6,000 yen. A side panel advertises the Sega Mega Drive console itself, emphasizing its 16-bit power and showing the system and controller. The console is listed with a standard retail price of 21,000 yen.